San. That is the Wampanoag word for hello. The Wampanoag are the natives that live in Massachusetts by the ocean where the Pilgrims came in. I know that because I am a school program guide at Winter Tour Museum, and 90% of our programs are designed to help teach kids about life long ago. When they come to the museum, we use things in the collection to teach them about colonial life, but we also go out to schools. We call it an outreach, but really we're just like educational gypsies that get in a van and have these big crates of materials that we take with us. And one of our most popular programs is called Celebrating the Harvest, and it's mostly telling the story of the Pilgrims. So when I started there, I thought the program was charming, but we all knew it was politically incorrect. It really was leaning toward it all being about the Pilgrims. And our supervisor had decided that we could rewrite some of our programs, and I was honored to be chosen to be on a team that was going to research and rewrite this program. And I got really close to the woman that I was working with, and we had a wonderful time researching the Wampanoag people and the trip of the Pilgrims, and we began to revise. So we didn't change a lot of the activities, but we did change the slant of the story. So the introduction really began to concentrate on harvest, and we would talk about the fact that harvests happen all over the world, not just here for Thanksgiving. And we would add things to each of the rotations. So the one that was about Pilgrim children, we added Wampanoag children and the toys they play with. So we'd have a Jacob's ladder, but we'd have a corn husk doll and a little birch bark canoe toy. We had one rotation that was about planting, and so we turned that into learning about the three sisters, which is corn, beans, and squash planted together, and the Wampanoag taught the Pilgrims how to do that, and they all helped each other, so that became about cooperation. And then we had the quintessential teaching story tool. We had a felt board. I love that damn felt board, okay? Ours was trifold, and when you opened it, there was brown, that was continents, and then we had the blue Atlantic Ocean in the middle. And I have really fond memories of sitting at my kitchen table, cutting out these little figures for the felt board. And so I'm sitting at home making wetus. Those are Wampanoag homes. And I'm cutting out trees, all kinds of trees, but mostly some birch trees because of the canoes, which, by the way, if you text birch tree, it autocorrects to bitch tree. And that was fun. But I'm also cutting out all the little woodland animals that are part of their lives. And so I'm cutting out squirrels and rabbits. I'm cutting out, of course, a turkey, because this is going to be the harvest story. And I'm cutting out deer, little deer. And those are fiddly. That was hard. But I was really proud of what we had, and we couldn't wait to debut this program. And so the day that it's going to be the first time we do the revised program, we had extra people in the van because we had experienced guides that wanted to see what the changes were. So there's going to be a lot of people in the van. And I'm driving, if you live in this area, I'm driving 52 out of Westchester, which becomes really rural for a while before it hits Route 1. And I'm in really good spirits. It's a beautiful fall day. And 1 minute I'm driving, and the next minute there's a deer in front of my car. And this little deer had darted out of the trees. There was no seeing it on the side of the road. It wasn't, it was physics. There was a deer at the same time that my car was there. And I don't know if you've ever had the pain of hitting an animal on the road, but it is soul shaking. I was shaking. And it's on the other side of the road now. It's lying there, presumably dead. And I drive to the nearest gas station. I get out of the car. There's a truck with the windows down. Men are idling in the truck. And I probably should have thought about this before I did it, but I was really shaken up. And I went up to the truck and I said, I really hope you can help me. I just hit a deer, and it's in the road. You can see it from here, and I want to know what I should do. And the man closest to me is smoking a cigarette, and he goes like this. You don't have to do anything. And I don't think he was trying to be mean. I think he just was unmoved. And I said, no, I really need to do something. Isn't there an agency or a commission I can call? And they said, well, you could try Fish and Game or whatever. So I'm driving to Winterthur and texting my son and saying, I'm desperate. You have to get me the number. The minute I get to Winterthur, I have to call. So I pull into the parking lot by the van, and everyone's standing outside. They're all so excited that we're doing this. There's this whole group of people. And I have to look at them and say, I just hit a little deer and killed it, and I'm really shaken up. And it was silent, just silent. You want to talk an awkward silence. And it was pure compassion until someone looked at me and said, have you looked at your car? Is it really damaged? And I was like, why would you make me look at my car right now? I can't do that. I actually have to get in a van and go work with pre-K children. I'll look at that later. And I got in the car, and then it got silent again because they all knew I had to call the commission. And again, no sympathy. It's like they're immune. Do you know what I mean? And so we pinpointed where the deer was, and we get to the school, and I have to do my job. I'm with pre-K kids, and I'm going to be telling the story of the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims. When you do a rotation like that in a classroom, you do it 3 times because they're rotating. So they're going from activity to activity. And we had 3 classes that day. So I told the story of the Wampanoag 9 times. 9 times I put little deer on the felt board. And by the time it was done, it was surreal to me. And I got out in the hallway. I had to breathe. And my friend came out, and she said, are you okay? And I said, I just put a whole lot of deer on that felt board. And I feel like I paid penance. I hope I'm forgiven. And she put her arms around me, and we had that girl laugh, cry moment, right? But I still have to get home. And I know I can't drive on that road, so I go a different way. And I think in the morning it'll be fine, and I drive on 52, and the deer's still in the road. And it was like seeing a murder scene. And it was like that for 2 more days. And I stopped driving on 52. I stopped, and I stopped for like 2 weeks. And when I finally decided I could get back on, my friend would text me in the car because there were animals everywhere in the fall. They're just out. I think they're getting ready for winter. So I'm seeing deer, I'm seeing foxes, I'm seeing aardvarks, I'm seeing all these animals out trying to cross the road. And sometimes they were dead. Do you know what I mean? And she would talk me through that. We would text every morning. And nothing has changed. I'm going to start the harvest program on Monday, and I've been driving 52, and I've been seeing the same dead deer for a week. Nothing has changed. And for me, it's all tied into the Wampanoag. That was not a happy ending. I hope you realize that. They had, a feast for 3 days, but the Pilgrims also brought smallpox, and it didn't end happily. And I feel like the meeting of the humans and the animals doesn't end happily very often. And I honestly feel like we took their land too. So I'm nervous about starting harvest again because it's a little tinged with sadness for me. So this morning I was driving to work, and I called Leslie, and I said, Wanika-san. And she said, Wanika-san. And I said, I have to tell harvest on Monday. Thank you.